Are now saying one person has died, 32 injured, 10 seriously injured, but one would fully expect that to change again potentially in the coming minutes. But Richard is here, has been following things, and Richard, just to put this in perspective, because we've seen attacks in several European countries, the UK, France, Belgium, but not in Spain for the last few years.
No, not since 2004, when there was a very, very serious attack. Almost 200 people were killed and many hundreds others were injured in the Madrid train bombings in 2004. It happened just before the general election, and the belief was that that was carried out by an Al-Qaeda cell or Al-Qaeda inspired group of people. So that was a very, very serious attack. And since then, as far as I'm aware, there haven't been any major attacks, certainly not carried out by Islamist militants.
And of course, in recent times, we saw the van in that picture, but that has become a weapon used by terrorists in their attacks. We've seen it in several different cities, and that is so difficult to defend yourself from.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to have become the weapon of choice, and we know, and of course we don't know who was behind this attack, but certainly we know that so-called Islamic State and some of the other sort of very hardcore Islamist militant groups have called on people to use these inverted commas weapons because they're easy to get hold of. You can use them, you can drive down the street, and you can cause a huge amount of damage. And as you say, we've seen that. It's been a real pattern over the past year. You go right the way back to the horrific attack in Nice when more than 80 people were killed in July last year, and right the way through Berlin, in Stockholm, in Paris, now obviously in London, 2 attacks using vehicles. And it was interesting, you know, Matthew, there was one eyewitness who was saying that he thought he saw the van veering from left to right, which also is a hallmark of these attacks we've seen in the past where they're trying to hit as many people as possible. That's just one eyewitness. Obviously, it's not totally reliable, but certainly that's what he thought he had seen.
And these, some of the latest pictures of armed police, we were hearing a little earlier of how they're moving from street to street just as they look for the perpetrators. There you can see, Richard, on the screen. So you have heavily armed response as they look for the people that have actually carried out. So that is going on. For the intelligence services, in moments like this, in the immediate hours afterwards, they are dealing with so much, aren't they? They are, all those questions about have they missed things, that will come a lot later. They're actually at the moment trying to find out how many perpetrators are there, is there more coming?
Well, absolutely. The first priority is to protect civilians, isn't it? So if they are worried that the perpetrators of this attack are still at large, then that is, of course, the absolute top priority, and they'll be devoting as many resources as they possibly can to that. As you say, there's large numbers of armed police already on the streets, although actually my understanding is that there have been armed guards and police in buildings for some time now. Obviously there was some concern about potential attacks given what has happened in the rest of Western Europe, but it's obviously flooded now with armed police, and certainly the security services, the intelligence agencies will be working very, very hard, presumably looking at lists of people potentially who might be suspects. They'll have a list of people who they believe may have been radicalized.